So Bill Maher, um, God, he sucks. He still
He's
sucks.
so bad. He's the worst. He's like, I mean, he's sort of, I think it was like when he had Milo Yiannopoulos on
Oh yeah.
and they started ranting about trans women. I was like, yeah, that okay. You know what I mean? It's not like a new thing. That was like 5 years ago, 6 years
I
ago.
wish I could pull that clip up because I had, I think, deleted that from my brain and forgotten that, oh yeah, they were like, you're a right winger, I'm a so-called liberal, but we can bond over hating trans women.
Right. And that the stuff like lately is it's another comedian who is too lazy to write actual jokes and
Right.
just wants to take pot shots at trans people.
Yes.
It's whatever, dude. I can't with you. It's like an old guy bitching because people stopped using rakes. It's just I mean, like, get over it. We've moved forward. It's okay. It's okay. That's
That's like
progressive.
me though, because I hate leaf blowers. So like I would like I'm just like, as someone who is wants to be an ally but also is against leaf blowers, I don't like that metaphor.
Okay,
Um
boomer.
well, this is my okay boomer segment. And and
Perfect.
so obviously in the like in Pride Month, Bill Maher's ramping up all of his brushing and dusting off all of his old tired trans jokes, and I'm sure before anti-gay jokes as well. And he has thoughts on, oh wow, why there are so many trans people now. Is it just because he's in a rabbit hole, or no, it's something bigger is happening? So here was his recent take on this.
According to a recent Gallup poll, less than 1% of Americans born before 1946, that's Joe Biden's generation, identify that way. 2.6% of boomers do, 4.2% of Gen X, 10.5% of millennials, and 20.8% of Gen Z. Which means if we follow this trajectory, we will all be gay in 2054. And then who's going to buy this chair? I'm just saying that when things change this much, this fast, people are allowed to ask, what's up with that? All the babies are in the wrong bodies? Was there a mix-up at the plant, like with Captain Crunch's Oops, All Berries? Yes, part of the rise in LGBT numbers is from people feeling free enough to tell it to a pollster, and that's all to the good. But some of it is, it's trendy. Penis equals man? Okay, boomer. Remember, the prime directive of every teen is anything to shock and challenge the squares who brought you up. If you attend a small dinner party of typically very liberal, upper-income Angelenos, it is not uncommon to hear parents who each have a trans kid having a conversation about that. What are the odds of that happening in Youngstown, Ohio? If this spike in trans children is all natural, why is it regional? Either Ohio is shaming them or California is creating them.
All right, that
Lots
there
of,
was a lot there.
yeah.
Um,
First
on
of
that,
all, the fact that he was next to Adam Carolla tells you everything that he needs. I mean,
right.
Adam Carolla is the biggest piece of garbage too. He like going on tour with Dennis Prager. I mean,
God, are you serious?
oh, you didn't know that? Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, but I'm sorry. Go ahead. You were saying.
PragerU has done a couple of videos on Newsbroke on like some stuff. It's just very funny. That's so on brand and disgusting. What?
100%.
Ugh. Okay, and the fact that he wasn't, no one's laughing at these jokes really, except for again the audience that's barked off the Santa Monica Pier and like begged, like they're like, we got free popcorn and
Right.
soda, please come watch Bill Maher. But that last line, I think, and we'll go back, it was perhaps the most egregious. Either California is creating them or Ohio is shaming them. Ohio is shaming them.
Right.
That's the
Ohio's still,
answer.
yeah. The 250 bills at least
Yep.
um have been put out this year to try and keep kids from transitioning. Mike DeWine, the governor of Ohio, is absolutely won the election basically on a platform of anti-abortion, anti-trans. I mean, they absolutely are. And also, like when you say 20% of the population are LGBT, it's like, you know, there are bi people. The fact that people are more
Yeah.
open to being bi is a lot. To assume that now this is all trans is
That's
give
what
me a
I was
break.
gonna
Give
say.
me a break. Like you're not even close, man.
No, he gives this, he starts off with that graph and showing how everyone's going to be gay by 2080,
Right, right.
and then immediately singles out trans people, essentially conflating
Yes.
like those two groups. And you're absolutely right. It's sort of how I feel about like race and the way that like Pew and how Pew research is interpreted. Not Pew, how our census is interpreted, which is that like the takeaway is always there are fewer white people, but that's only if you define white through a one drop rule of POC, meaning if you're still defining whiteness through a purity, yeah, there are fewer white people, but if you define whiteness as not through racial purity, meaning some people are a little bit white, meaning there are biracial people, there are far more white people because they're fucking setting up franchises. There are people like me who are half white, a third white. Like there's so many more white people, but whiteness and race are never conceived that way. And it's sort of similar to what you're saying about sexuality. It's like you could be bi, you're also saying there's just more, like there's more straight people too. Like they're still straight. They're straight and gay. I don't know.
Right.
It's just very, it's such a yeah, and I know obviously that's not a one-to-one correlation, but it's like
No. But yeah, no, and same with like I think like you could say I could see where there may be some kids in high school who are like they have a friend who's non-binary. They're like, yeah, I want you to call me non-binary for a while. I want to go by that. Maybe
sure.
you know, and maybe it is, but which even if it is a phase, it harms nobody.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Say there's like a child who claims to be non-binary and is it? Let's just say for the sake of argument, like that's not what's going on. That's not exactly what's happening. Let's say it is. That just means you they go by different pronouns for a year during the
Yeah.
phase. What
Yeah.
that's what you're upset about for 1 year, and they're fine. They're still happy and healthy. It bothers me so much, and I think one of these fears that people have about trans people, about how like more people are coming out, they're like, well, what about all the people who detransitioned, you know, who would transition like from female to male and then transition back? And first of all, that means they weren't really trans, you know. But
Right.
let's say let's say 5% of people transition back. Just it's not 5%. It's not. It's way less.
It's less. Mm-hmm.
It's way less. Let's say 5%. Um, People are also misdiagnosed as having cancer. That doesn't mean we stop looking for ways to diagnose cancer and treating cancer.
Yeah.
You know, and I think they look at this like
Right, exactly. No, we have to take away all cancer treatments. No more chemo
right.
for anyone. No, especially chemo under 18. Mm-mm.
Right. And it's not even 5%. It's a fraction. It's a fraction, but it's just people just like if the only thing that says is we need to get better at diagnosing people who are trans and helping people who are trans.
Yeah.
You know, oh, excuse me a second.
No, and I was gonna say that it reminds me. I will draw another correlation to how people speak about race, which when he says when things change this much this fast. Now that line is a line that has been used by Tucker Carlson to speak about the growing number of people of color in this country. Legitimate, specifically, basically to float the great replacement theory, the idea that, yeah, people of color are coming for white people. And it's this like rhetorical, like, look, I'm not saying I'm against trans people or trans rights. I'm just saying, don't you think this is all changing a little much? And that statement to me excuses so much violence and brutality and like allows, it's basically like, oh yeah, no, I know someone was brutalized and I know, yeah, maybe there was a racially motivated or a hate crime over here. But how can you expect any different when, you know, it's just changing so fast?
Right. And I'm just asking questions. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
like you piece of shit. You're a piece of garbage. You're going to hack bullshit with your even what do you call a special, like adulting or something like that?
Oh God,
Or
I don't
something which
know.
I don't know, people stopped saying 5 years ago. So I mean, he talks about this thing like I haven't changed. I haven't changed. It's the Democrats that have changed. It's liberals that have changed. It's like no, society is changing. That's literally what society does. Like it changed from 100 years ago. If we didn't change from 100 years ago, think where we would be. So of course,
Yes.
society progresses. And so
No, it's
he's
so funny that he's like, because he's saying the okay boomer, blah, blah, in jest, but like he proves himself to be an out of touch boomer every single week. You're basically referring to another monologue that he had where he was like, I haven't changed, society's changed. It's like, yeah, bro, and you change with it.
yes,
You like watch the fucking Sex in the City reboot if you can stomach it. Just look at how Miranda is suddenly not cool anymore. It's like the one storyline that I like
right.
really
She
like where I'm like,
changed.
no, exactly. She didn't change. She's learning. She's trying not to be a Karen. She's like figuring out what like systemic racism is. And, it's like, yeah, that's what you are, Bill.
Right.
You're a
100%.
Miranda in 2022. Like you're trying to figure out like that the world doesn't revolve around you.
Right.
Um, for the first time, and you've never had to do that
No,
because you've had it
100%.
made in the shade. And I will just say that he also like actually names someone that I know by name, um which is really fucked up in doing like essentially an anti-trans segment and then naming the name of a trans person and kind of putting a target on their back.
Right.
Who he's a lawyer, he's like in the public, he's public facing, whatever, but he does this in this like he's like, oh, the pride is so representative this year, and he's like, there are trans people, there are lesbians, there's this, there's that. You know what there aren't? No gay men. And he's like, what the fuck do you care if there's gay men? Like,
It-
also he could be more specific if he knew us. He could be like, there's no cis gay men, right? Like,
right. Right. Right.
again, conflating gender and sexuality. But like, again, and then this is like again with the hierarchies, the obsession with creating gendered sexuality hierarchies, racial hierarchies, and every time you incorporate new groups of marginalized people into your understanding, like these folks always think that that means we're forgetting about cis gay men.
Right, right, and I mean, you sort of need to look at the history of the Pride Parade and realize, like it's almost all gay men. like,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
going through the years, like how many, like that was where you saw gay men because gay men were the ones who were punished the most for during Stonewall, like it was gay men or at the time,
exactly.
although obviously like now you look back, you'd be like that person was probably trans, couldn't transition given the circumstances, but I mean it's like you look at the history of it, it's like of course you want to represent everyone all along the way. It's not like it's just like
An
I'm done
either
with you and
or.
I'm moving here. It's just here's a group that was underrepresented in
Yes.
the past and we're representing that person because of what they do, or we don't care, we know they're part of our community and we're not trying to pigeonhole that person as a certain identity. We're just saying you're great for the community, period.
Right.
I don't know.
And I think there's a certain like class tone deafness that I think a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of like, obviously there's class tone deafness. It's fucking Bill Maher, but like, understanding the ways that the Pride Parade has been co-opted, and definitely while it started off, with gay men being, yes, brutalized at Stonewall and like has radical roots, that like, especially even where it took place and where Stonewall is in the West Village is totally gentrified. And it's like lots of kind of wealthy, gay men who, there is not as much of a space for like young, queer kids of color or like, trans
Oh yeah.
people. And like, so it is like, there are also ways that pride has become, again, co-opted and corporatized, and there are gradations. Like the LGBTQ community is not a monolith, but that's completely lost on him. So it's funny because like you could see his argument being made by like a really elitist, like brownstone owning, like
Right.
gay guy on the pride committee being like, what about us, and
Right,
our
right.
representation? It's like,
100%.
and no one would
100%.
take that person seriously.
Right, right. 100%. And there's something else. He was on, I don't know, someone was doing a show. It was like a pot show. It was a show about weed, and he's
Mhm.
like, he was talking to the host, like while she's smoking. He's like, and he's trying to act cool. He's sitting back in that chair with someone like that, his grandmother or his granddaughter's age. Like, yeah, but now society, like pregnant men, and she's just like, yeah, pregnant men. All right,
Yeah.
and he's like, what's the deal with that? It's like,
Bro, was he high too?
probably, but
He's like trying to insert. Can you imagine see, I'm someone who, like, when I smoke, I become way more empathetic, but like other people tell me that, like, no, right wingers are super on board, obviously, with weed, and somehow it doesn't make them more empathetic. But I love that, like, conversations I have when I'm high, which are like aliens, bro, like, that other people are like, yeah, but like pregnant men, like using it as an excuse to just talk shit about trans people.
yeah,
Like,
it's like he was sitting.
never
He's like,
occurred to me. What a waste of a high.
He's like, I'm gonna blow her away with my insight. Transgender, pregnant men.
And he and she was like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
She's like, yeah. I think she did one of these, like,
some snaps.
It was some weird, like, like, I don't know.
He went to go, like, look this up on Urban Dictionary, which, by the way, love snaps as a comic. Please don't snap in the audience.
Yeah, we don't need snaps. Although if it's shrieking, go stick with the snaps. But,
sure.
But laughing
is the sweet spot of reactions.
Yeah, that's sort of what you go for.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do